Welcome to the deep dive. If you're running a hotel or restaurant in Europe, you know it's, well, a busy market. Lots of trends coming and going. So, the big question we're tackling is real authenticity the thing that actually leads to lasting success?
That's exactly it. That's the heart of what we're digging into today. We've been looking at insights from Maurice, who's a real expert in food and beverage within European hospitality.
Okay.
And based on what he's seen work, Maurice has singled out five key strategies. So our plan here is to unpack those for you.
Give people a shortcut, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. A direct path to understanding what clicks with European diners and, how you can actually use these ideas in your own place.
Great. Let's dive right in then. Strategy number one from Maurice, really cultivating that regional culinary identity. He's basically saying that in Europe, history, tradition, they matter a lot. So authentic local food isn't just nice, it's like a core strength.
Absolutely. Maurice really points out that European consumers often have this deep connection to their regional food. It's about origin story.
More than just taste buds then.
Oh, much more. It taps into memories, family stuff, cultural identity. So when you showcase local specialties, you're not just serving food, you're hitting that emotional note.
Right.
And Maurice suggests really celebrating these local dishes. Don't just list them. Maybe find unique regional ingredients or give a classic recipe a bit of a modern spin.
It's the story behind it too, isn't it? Maurice mentions Europeans liking that sense of heritage. Where did this come from? What's the tradition?
Precisely. And to make that real, Maurice says you've got to build strong local partnerships, work with regional producers.
Ah, for freshness.
Yes, freshness is huge, obviously, but it also seals that authentic link to the terroir, that sense of place. It builds trust.
Maurice gave a couple of examples. Vapiano, the German chain.
Yeah, Vapiano. It's interesting how they keep their Italian concept, but weave in local ingredients across different countries in Europe. Shows you can adapt.
You don't have to ditch your core idea.
Exactly. They keep their brand, but show real local commitment.
Yeah.
And then there's EXKi, the Belgian brand. Maurice sees their success as built right on that fresh, organic, local foundation. Really tapped into what European diners were looking for.
Okay, so a really practical first step Maurice suggests for anyone listening. Identify maybe 3 regional specialties you could really make shine on your menu.
Yeah, great starting point. Which brings us to the second strategy Maurice outlines, embracing reasoned innovation.
Reasoned innovation. Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Well, he warns that in Europe, innovation isn't just about being new or flashy. It has to make sense. It needs to respect the culinary traditions that are already there.
Right, you can't just drop the latest global fad into, say, a classic Parisian bistro and expect it to fly.
Exactly. So Maurice talks about modernizing the experience, maybe integrating tech thoughtfully to improve service.
Thoughtfully being the key word.
Absolutely. Technology should help, not get in the way of the charm,
Yeah.
maybe easy online booking or smooth ordering systems, but keep that human touch, the pleasure of dining.
Makes sense.
He also mentions rethinking the layout, creating spaces that maybe blend that comfy European cafe feel with modern touches.
So finding that sweet spot between familiar and fresh.
That's it. And when it comes to the actual food innovation, Maurice stresses that any new dish, any new idea, it should still connect with European tastes. Feel like a natural step, not a complete break from the past.
Okay, got examples.
He does. Think about Big Mama Group in France.
Yeah.
They've really shaken up the Italian dining scene.
Oh, yeah, their places look amazing.
Right, stylish design, great social media buzz. But the food itself, it's still recognizably Italian at its heart. It's a modern interpretation that still feels authentic in spirit.
Okay, I see.
And then Flax and Kale in Spain, they're doing innovative flexitarian stuff, but it's grounded in Mediterranean health principles. It feels like it belongs there.
So the reflection point from Maurice here is think about one innovation you could bring in, something that improves the customer experience but still respects that European vibe of, enjoying a meal together.
Finding that balance. Okay, strategy number 3, according to Maurice, is all about sustainability, seeing it as a core philosophy.
Which feels less like a trend now and more like
Just expected.
right? Especially in Europe.
Totally. Maurice argues it's basically a necessity now. European customers are very aware of these issues.
So practical steps.
Yeah, he outlines a few. First, actively cut your environmental footprint. That means tackling food waste, choosing eco-friendly packaging. These are becoming standard expectations.
And you need to talk about it.
Yes, transparency is key. Maurice says be open about your efforts. Tell your customers what you're doing. It builds trust. He even suggests looking into the circular economy, like partnerships to deal with organic waste, composting, that sort of thing.
He mentioned Silo in London, didn't he? The zero waste place.
Exactly. They've built their whole identity around it, and they're super open about their practices. It's a huge part of their brand.
Wow.
And Nolla in Finland, they've got even further. Eliminated trash completely, only work with local producers. It shows that deep commitment can be a really powerful draw.
So a challenge for Maurice here.
Yeah, a practical one. Can you identify 3 concrete, sustainable actions you can start implementing in the next, say, 30 days? Just get the ball rolling.
Good challenge. Okay, strategy 4 takes us to the experience itself, creating something distinctly European.
Maurice really emphasizes that European customers generally value the time spent eating, the interactions.
Yeah.
It's often more of a social occasion than just grabbing food.
It's not always about speed.
Yeah, definitely not always.
Mm.
So Maurice suggests personalizing the welcome. Train staff to recognize regulars, remember preferences. It makes people feel seen, valued.
Little things matter.
Big time. And respect the European pace. Adapt service so people don't feel rushed. Let them enjoy the meal, the company. It's about facilitating that enjoyment.
And the details, too, like how the table looks, the general atmosphere.
Yes, Maurice calls it cultivating the art of the table. Paying attention to presentation, the ambiance, comfort. All those elements add up to the overall feeling of quality and care.
The pain quotidien came up here, right? The Belgian chain.
Yeah, Maurice points to their communal table concept. It really fosters that sense of sharing conviviality, which resonates with European dining culture.
That's a good example. And Dishoom in the UK.
Ah, Dishoom. They recreate that whole Bombay cafe atmosphere. It's totally immersive, from how they greet you to how the food is shared. It's about crafting a whole world, really.
So the big question Maurice poses here is, how can you turn your place into more of a social hub? One that reflects those European values of togetherness, shared experience, thinking beyond just the plate.
Exactly. Which leads us nicely into Maurice's 5th and final strategy, the need to adapt to how European society is changing.
Because things don't stand still.
Nope. Restaurants need to evolve too. Maurice points out you need to stay relevant.
So things like dietary needs.
Definitely. Diversify your menu. Offer good vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free options. Be more inclusive. It just makes sense for a wider audience today.
And opening hours, maybe? Habits are changing.
That too. Adjusting hours for things like brunch, the after-work crowd, maybe getting serious about good quality delivery. It expands your reach. Maurice also says embrace diversity value. The multicultural influences enriching European food. Reflect that vibrancy.
Pret, a manger was an example here.
Yeah, the British chain. Maurice knows how they adapted really well to fast-paced urban life, needing fresh, quick options, but without sacrificing quality. They met a need.
Got it.
And Odium in Sweden, they actually offer different kinds of experiences at different times of the day, super flexible, maximizing their appeal.
Smart. So Maurice's final prompt for us is to really analyze what societal shifts are happening right here in your area. How might those changes be affecting what your customers want or expect?
Yeah, keeping your finger on the pulse.
Okay, so let's quickly recap. We've covered 5 strategies from food and beverage expert Maurice for European hotels and restaurants. Number 1, nail that regional culinary identity.
2, embrace innovation, but make sure it's relevant and respectful, reasoned innovation.
3, make sustainability a core part of your philosophy, not an afterthought.
4, create that distinctive European experience, focusing on conviviality and quality time.
And 5, adapt and evolve along with European society's changing habits and needs.
And the thread tying all this together, according to Maurice, isn't about chasing global fads. It's about applying smart business ideas through a European cultural lens, focusing on authenticity, quality, sustainability, and that really cherished atmosphere of dining together.
Right. So here's a final thought for you to take away based on all this. Thinking about your own place right now, which single aspect of how you operate, if you really looked at it with that authentic European perspective we've been discussing, could potentially create the biggest positive change for your business?
Something to really mull over.